The number of illegal crossings at the southern border reportedly rising throughout the summer. That after an initial drop right after the administration lifted the Trump-era public health policy Title 42 back in May. Just last month, the Border Patrol reportedly arrested 177,000 migrants who were caught trying to enter the United States. That includes a record 91,000 family units. Sharp rise undercuts the administration's assurances its border policy is working. Joining us now, Arizona Congresswoman Debbie Lesko. She sits on the Congressional Border Security Caucus and the House Energy and Commerce Committee. Congresswoman, thanks for joining us this afternoon. Why do you think we're seeing this switch now? We did see a lot of single migrants traveling as singles coming through, and now there's more family units. What's going on here?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me today. And the border continues to be in a crisis. I imagine the cartels think that it's to their advantage to put through more family units. And of course, that leads to more risk for the women and children to be raped and abused. It also leads to the recycling of children that we know the cartels do. They send the children over the border up into the U.S., send them back down across the border, then send them back again. And so this is just a disaster. Children. And it's really unbelievable to me when the press secretary for President Biden continues to say that President Biden is doing a great job on the border. He is not. The border is open. It's dangerous.
Do we have any sense for families who were released into the country while they're waiting for their asylum claims to be adjudicated in the United States? How many claims are getting adjudicated? How many people end up staying? How many people end up going back? It seems like we really don't have a good sense or grasp on what happens to a lot of these folks when they cross into the United States.
Well, you're absolutely right. And, you know, Secretary Becerra, who's the Health and Human Services Secretary, came in front of our committee recently. And I asked him about vetting the sponsors that they're sending unaccompanied children to.
They're not vetting them.
And he didn't have any good answers. They're not vetting them well. We don't know where these children are going to. There's a report that 85,000 children, unaccompanied children, they couldn't even find. This is a total disaster. And then when you couple that with the recent report that all of our federal agencies were alarmed because there was a human smuggler affiliated with ISIS that is helping people cross the border, this is a total disaster, and it's the Biden policies that are creating it. Because if you just look at the numbers, in August of 2020, there were 50,000 border crossings, and that was under President Trump. Now there's recently reported that in August of 2023, there are as many as 230,000. That's the 177,000 that crossed between the border entries, plus another 50,000 that crossed at the border entries. And that doesn't even include the 30,000 that are legally being able to come across each and every month from certain countries like Haiti and Cuba. This is unsustainable. It has been. It's a total disaster.
You mentioned that human smuggling ring, apparently ISIS-sponsored, according to the administration. They said they brought about a dozen or so Uzbek nationals across the southern border. No sense that they were connected to a terrorism plot. At least that's the initial information we're getting from the administration. But have we seen this before? Have we seen those with connections to international terrorism organizations getting into the game of human smuggling at the southern border?
Well, I don't know for sure, but I imagine there are. I mean, because it's an open border. The Biden policies are terrible. The border is not secure. As you saw in Arizona alone, 114 floodgates were welded open, and they're wide open. There's illegal immigrants crossing through them, and so who knows who's all coming over, because we only catch a certain number of them. There's some people that turn themselves in and ask for asylum, but quite frankly, they're not being vetted well. I've talked to Customs and Border Patrol officers. They say that, you know, some of these people, they give false names. They're then put on planes and sent all over the country. This is terrible. It's a national security risk, and I don't think people realize the extent to the vulnerability America has, because we don't know where these people are going. And certainly if they're terrorists, there's 146 that we know of that have crossed this fiscal year that are on the terrorist watch list.
That's just this year.
And very quickly, Congresswoman, will this all be part of the budget negotiations you think that are going to be ongoing this month?
Well, I would hope so. Just think about the FEMA. Okay, right now, President Biden is asking more money for FEMA. But FEMA has spent, what, $230 million already to help illegal immigrants with housing, with health care, with food. And so Americans are starting to wonder what is going on. We ourselves, American citizens, they say we don't have enough money, but yet we're giving it to illegal immigrants, and our border is wide open. So yes, it will be part of the discussion.
Arizona Congresswoman Debbie Lesko, thanks for joining us this afternoon.